Donna Schwartz here from the Everything Saxophone podcast. Happy New Year, happy 2026. And to start it off to celebrate, I've got an awesome guest with me. I've known him for a very long time. It's Augie Bello. We're both originally from New York, from Long Island. It's one word, Long Island. Okay, but
It's true.
it's true. But I'm so happy to have you back on the podcast because the last time was at the NAMM show a number of years ago, Augie.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be back with you. I think it was 6 years ago that we did
Oh,
this. I
wow.
think it was 2019.
Yeah, I think so.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. Like COVID just makes you like your mind blur in terms
I
of,
know.
time and stuff like that. Wow.
Crazy.
A lot has happened for you since 2019. I mean, massive amounts of things have happened for you.
Well, thank you. I've been working hard and trying to do whatever comes to me. So,
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that for sure. And, with the hundreds and hundreds and almost 1 million followers, maybe by the time this comes out, it'll hit 1 million. You're probably like right
maybe.
up there.
Maybe.
That could you have pictured, okay, so let me share this backstory. So I taught in the Syosset schools for about 14 and a half years, Syosset, Long Island, and Augie was in one of the other schools, but every year our district, Syosset district was very good when it came to music education, everybody. I mean, students would start in third grade on orchestral instruments if they wanted to, and then fourth grade with band. And so I ran a fourth grade band. I did a jazz band of third, fourth, and fifth graders. Um, in the school that you went to with Joan, right? Joan Chiarello.
Yep.
You had the jazz. You had an elementary jazz band too, I think, right? Fourth, fifth grade
We
as well.
did. We did. I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then every year for jazz, there would be an all-district jazz festival that I've got to say could rival some of the all-county jazz festivals. I think so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree.
And so I saw your growth from a very young age, and it wasn't even like, when your mom came to teach in my school. She taught fourth
Hmm.
grade for a couple of years, but it was even before that, because I'm always checking out the other schools and stuff like that, and
Uh-huh.
and just watching your growth from that point. And we had spoken about this actually a couple of weeks ago too,
Yeah.
where when you got to the high school and Larry Ballaroom, who was a great he was a great music teacher at Syosset High School for many, many years, taught the jazz band, brought that jazz band to such incredible heights. A lot of great people came from there. Jake
Yes.
Quadrino, who plays drums. Actually, June Finkelstein,
Yeah.
trumpet, yourself, Jonathan Cohen, piano, just so many, Zachary Levine, so many people came from there. But
Absolutely.
when you went to high school, I saw the flip. From ninth to 10th grade, something like clicked for you, something happened. And then and we're going to start with this story. And I said to you, either right at that time or a little bit afterward, I said to your mom or something, I'm seeing the next Dave Koz because that's what I felt. And I still
Ah,
mean it to this day. And and
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I remember you always pushed me and inspired me, and you're one of the first people who I felt like believed in what I was doing, other than, of course, my parents and some of the teachers that were, in the school. But uh, my mom always spoke so highly of you and how great you were with all the kids, and somehow, even though we weren't in the same district, that still translated to me, who was, in a different district. So whenever I got time to spend with you, it was always so amazing and helpful too.
cool. No, for sure. And I'm just grateful that the district always put on those shows every spring,
Absolutely.
because it gave my students and it gave you also the opportunity to see what's possible. You know,
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't understand this, but they're like, "Oh, I don't want to see like case studies and testimonials." The reason why people show you those is because if you don't have a goal, if you don't know what's possible, how are you going to be able to get anywhere? How are you going to be
It's
able to
true.
achieve anything? And I know this, for me growing up, I grew up in Noyd Park. And so
Hmm.
we were a combined junior high and high school. And that to me was the best thing because I got to see I played trumpet. I got to see the trumpet players that were seniors that were in 12th grade. And then the people that were older than me by a few years. And I was able to perform with them early because it was in the
Yeah.
same building. I was allowed to do that. And, you being able to see the people in the high school and then the middle school, and then, you becoming that and you becoming the role model, right,
Yeah.
for the younger kids, giving it back that way. But, it was a great experience. And your mom was a lot of fun. We definitely had a lot of fun teaching for sure. Great person
Oh.
and great family. And the other thing too that most people don't realize, we shot one of my self-study products together in
Mm.
New York State. There's something called NISMA, and it's
Yep.
essentially New York State School Music Association. Every spring, students would prepare a solo. They'd have to do sight reading. They have to play scales from memory. They also have jazz. They could do a jazz solo, do improvisation, and so with NISMA and stuff like that. Um, yeah, just you got into all county, you got into all state, jazz
Yeah.
band, and yeah, just a lot of great memories. But I had shot a product to help students to be able to manage that because it was very stressful for a lot of kids,
Of
and to help
course.
them, give them tips and all that kind of stuff. And you helped me out. Your sister helped me out.
That's right. That was
That was
fun.
that was fun. That was really cool. That was a lot of fun for
I'd
sure.
love to see that. If you have that somewhere, I'd love to
Yeah, all right.
find, if you have it, yeah, find the archive of it.
I'm gonna do that.
I mean, we must have been like 14, 15 years old or something when we did
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you were,
Wow.
and you were still so chill.
But maybe when other people were around, but my mom would say not so much.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's so interesting because your sister was more like, like she was like prepared, ready, all like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, typical jazz musician. Yeah,
yeah.
the old
Oh
days.
man,
Oh my
I
gosh,
know.
I'm gonna find those files, and I think what I'm gonna try to do, everybody, is I'm gonna try to
Yes,
share one little like scene or something.
that would be amazing. I'd love to see that.
I think everybody would too. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that's great. Thanks for the idea.
of
Okay.
course, of course,
Well, listen, so I'm curious too. So
of course.
again, like Larry flipped the switch for you. And I want to talk
Mhm.
about that because as you were going through middle school, I saw you were working hard. You were loving what you were doing. Everybody has to go through this phase where, you're sitting there, you're trying to figure it out. You're playing. Everybody goes through playing like a lot of notes, thinking they have to play all the notes and the chords, all the notes and the
Mhm.
scales. And then, do you know what? I don't know if you know what the defining moment was. I mean, I
Yeah.
saw it from a little bit of a distance, but what was like the change in your mind or the mindset switch from, if you could remember, like you're in
Yeah.
eighth grade, you're playing, and then ninth grade, you're starting to study with Larry and, doing your thing. Do you remember the mindset switch?
Yeah, so I think that I do want to say like in middle school I had great, great, great teachers.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Jim Malinowski, and he really like he did something really special in middle school, which was his family was so musical and talented, and he's so talented, and
Right.
he would bring in his children, and his son Matt Malinowski would come in and play piano sometimes, and some former students would come in, I think Richard Baumser, and these people would come in and sit in with the class, and I just remember in that time I was just starting saxophone around there. I started saxophone when I was 11 or 12. And so I was just kind of getting my bearings and watching those guys. It like lit this like a small flame under me. But at the time I was still playing sports. I was still like kind of growing into myself in general. And I think once I got into the high school, and I got to work with Mr. Ballaroo, Larry Ballaroo. Um, the way he played, so he was my teacher playing the saxophone, and whenever he would play, I would just be like, wow, I want to sound like that guy. And wow, he's so amazing. And he was fun, he was kind, he was um, super just like the perfect teacher in terms of we're doing music. There's a lot of work that's involved in getting good at it, but it has to be fun. Um, And same with Paul Caputo, who I was in the stage. So we had two different jazz bands in the high school. So the first one I was in was Paul Caputo, amazing drummer,
Yeah.
amazing teacher, and he was the same way in terms of just like he would drill into you that you have to work hard, but it wasn't like to the point where the fun is gone because especially in the context of jazz and improvising, the fun and the excitement to do it is what creates kind of the best music, the best improvisation. So in high school, I just was kind of entrenched in not only the teachers but people around me who were just amazing at what they did. June Finkelstein and Leanne Cron on the trombone, and um, Jacob Sugarman, and there were all these players who like, man, they're really working hard, and it was inspiring, just to see classmates working hard, the teachers sounding amazing, and then every single year, even when I was so stage band was the first jazz band I was in, which was with Mr. Caputo, and that first year when we went to watch. They have the big jazz concert where they show all the different districts. Even then, watching the jazz ensemble, like, so I was in the stage band watching the jazz ensemble, was like, wow, these musicians are really amazing. I have to work hard to get to that place where I feel, it was just inspiring to be around such great players and teachers. So, um, yeah, throughout high school, I really kind of found a lot of joy in creating and learning. And through doing NYSMA, I was always working on a new solo and working on, keeping my technique sharp. And so it just became a thing of I could see it as my calling. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
When did you when did you when did you see it as your calling? When did you say, you know what, I want to be a professional musician?
So it's kind of interesting. My elementary school yearbook, they say future occupation, and mine says future musician. So at that point, I was really working hard on the piano and the clarinet. I had amazing teachers. On the piano was Ellen Goldhaber. She's moved to Florida now. She was amazing. And then Nancy Deutsch was
Oh
amazing
yeah,
piano teacher for a while.
yeah.
And then I had Peggy Ho on clarinet.
Oh right, yeah. That's
Yeah,
gosh, great teacher too. She's a
great
great,
teacher.
yeah. Oh my
Yep.
gosh, I forgot about her. And then yeah, she's
Yeah.
too.
So she was the type of teacher who, like, there were some times with maybe some other teachers where maybe I wouldn't practice so much the week, and I would say that I had a knack for like really like sight reading and doing it on the spot. Like if I hadn't prepared, there were sometimes I could scooch by with some teachers like, "Oh, great work this week," and I would be like, well, I guess that I guess it worked out." Peggy Ho, absolutely never, ever, ever, ever. If I did not practice, she was on me. She knew it. She knew it, and that was so helpful because it was like she really held me accountable. Um,
The wake up
and
call.
it was a big wake up call. And then I also had Scott Hofling, who's an amazing teacher. He started me on saxophone and worked with me really up until I was 17, about to go to college too. So I had him
Oh, I didn't know
on
that.
alto sax for a while, and then I was taking lessons from Larry on tenor too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about Scott. Okay.
Yeah,
This is a good piece of information to know.
yeah,
And again, talking about your peers too, that's huge.
yeah,
Because it's almost like community when you think about it. You're inspired by what your peers are doing, and it's not a question of being a contest. It's more
yeah,
like, wow, that's possible, or oh, wow, what great ideas. I never
yeah,
thought of that, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because um, just recently I had this opportunity to set up a big band to perform for this private event, and setting up that big band, I personally know these people who I'm like, they're the best around my age, they're the best in New York City, right? And I put together 17 people for this event. Being around those people gave me the same exact feeling where I was like, actually a worse feeling, to be honest. No, a great feeling. It's really great. But like being around these people, they absolutely kick my butt. All of them. All of them, truthfully. They're all amazing. And I'm so happy I got to do this event because it made me realize that there's some things that I used to be so confident about in my reading and my soloing and my changes, and hearing like these people. I'm right now, I'm like 2026, I have to practice every single day for hours. Like, and that's the thing about being around people your age who are really, really amazing. It's like, wow, maybe in some like currently right now for me, seeing those people, it's like, maybe I've slacked a little bit in some things that I used to be really gung ho about. So it just lights that fire again, which is nice. It doesn't have to just happen once, is what I'm saying. You know?
No, you could always be inspired,
Yes.
always be inspired. And that's having an open mind and being
Yes.
curious. But it's interesting. You also caught yourself before at first you were like, worse, no, better. I'm glad
Yes.
that we kept the tape rolling because this is
Yes.
important. It's a mindset thing. If we look at people who are just better than us, just markedly better than us, and we say, "Oh man, you know what? Well, I'm not going to be a pro anyway. This is just a hobby," and then you start to
Yeah.
rationalize. What you're doing is you're cheating your brain of good information, right?
Hmm.
And you're cheating yourself of aspiring to something better. It's not like you're going to be that person,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, wow, okay, that's really possible. That can happen. Or, oh,
Absolutely.
that reminds me what I need to work on. That's
Of
awesome.
course.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So right now I'm in a stage of like every day I need to be reading, and I need to work on like, and overall, there's certain things that I feel very confident in that I've worked really hard on, but sometimes in falling into what's easy and what you start to slack on what you don't know. And that's what I really learned from doing this gig is like hearing these people. Um, I was like, wow, there is so much more to learn, and there's so much stuff to refine, which is nice. And then it was also a reminder of like doing NISMA throughout high school, middle school. Um, I was constantly reading during college, constantly reading music. Um, and doing this event, there was so much reading. There was, and I was like, when I was practicing this stuff, I was like, man, when I look at these rhythms, these are easy rhythms. Like this is not some hard stuff. But I go to play it and I'm like, why is it taking me some extra time? Because over time, if you're not kind of practicing that muscle,
Right.
it starts to loosen up a bit. So, um, again, like these people around me, the reading was amazing, their soloing was amazing, everything was amazing, and it's like a big inspiration for me. So, um, yeah, it's always happening, is what I'm saying.
No, that's cool. And I've got, hopefully I'll remember these two questions. The first question, if you're okay with sharing this, who are some of the people that were playing saxes?
Absolutely. So we had Leo P on Barry sax.
Oh, okay.
Completely amazing. Alex Smith is a tenor player from Long Island. He is amazing. Has all these bebop chops down. Um, Adam Cordero on the alto saxophone from Long Island. Absolutely kicks butt. He's
Okay.
amazing. And then this other guy, Nick Marziani, on alto sax. He absolutely like when I talk about these people, they're like huge. It was so nice to be able to hire these people for something because they are incredible. Like all of them are so incredible. And I was sitting next to Nick for most of this event, and just his reading and his soloing and he has a lot of content actually online. He would probably be a great person for the podcast too.
Good to know.
Um, yeah, he is just so his playing is so clean. His triplet feels crazy. His sound, his altissimo, he's got like everything going. And I spoke to him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, my first year of college, he went to MSM. He's like, my first year of college, like nobody saw me. Like he was just practicing, like a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
year of just like like he had that feeling, which I'm talking about from him, like of wow, I have a lot of work that I could be doing, and well, thankfully he's not in his first year of college anymore because we get to hear him. He's incredible, incredible, and a great guy too. So yeah, so it was kind of a dream come true to set up the band.
And you, so you were also in the section too then?
I was playing tenor. I said this to my friend Alex. I said I played tenor one. I was like, you probably should have played tenor one.
Well, listen, now I want to get back to the reading thing too. And
Yeah,
this is something that, I speak about a lot, because I'm trained with music learning theory. That's the one thing that I did differently than most people.
absolutely.
And the whole thing is ears before eyes. And so the thing is that with this, it's like, I train my students to use their ears before their eyes and to improvise, eventually improvise, because improvisation is the highest form of music making. But the
Absolutely.
thing is, reading is still very important. If you want to be a studio musician, right? Or if you want to get hired for these types of gigs,
Oh
you've
yeah.
got to keep your reading chops. And the thing that people don't realize is that the more that you improvise and then you equate with what you're playing, if you're able to transcribe what you're playing, it's always the rhythms that are the hardest. If you're able to
Mhm.
do that, your reading is going to be ridiculous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's totally true. 100%.
Yeah, and and you've focused a lot on the improvisation, on the playing by ear, and yeah, let's talk about this for a second. When did you kind of, I know you've always been reading and stuff like that, but your ears are really solid. Like when did you start developing that?
I would say so. Growing up, um, I started with piano lessons at age like 4,
Oh, okay.
and just through that, there was always my piano teacher, Ellen Goldhaber at the time. Um, I'd go into a lesson and I'd be playing this classical piece on the piano, and there'd be a couple things that I would do that weren't in the music. So I would add like little embellishments and stuff, and she would always stop me and be like, "Listen, you should be creative, you should have fun, but these pieces are to be played as they're written." So even at that point, when I was kind of starting piano and learning, I had a desire to create, even if that was in the confines of something that had been created. So, and as time went on, so my first period where I really felt like I was free to create, and it was actually acceptable was when I would start doing the jazz ensembles in middle school and high school because okay, we're playing this song and it has to be very accurate. And that was another thing with this event I just did is the leader of the event um, is an amazing classical composer, string arranger. His name is Steve Hackman.
Okay.
Incredible. You have to check him out. He's so incredible. Um, but we would play through something and he would pick one note and he'd say, "Hey, that note needs to be a long note, and then the next one has to be staccato." And it's marked in the music, and we would just kind of gliss over it. And then when we did it, how he described it and how it was written, there's a huge difference,
Mm.
you know. Um, so it's it's basically like in the jazz going back to like in middle school, we would read this music those small things of like long short make a big difference and it makes the section super tight. Like if we're all on the same page with the length of these notes and how hard we're going to hit them, it's going to be tighter, it's going to sound better. So that was what was happening in jazz band, but on top of that was, oh, there's just this section that's open and just create something. um in those moments um where I could just create something over the chords and stand up and do my solo, those are the moments where I really felt like I um just felt the most me on my instrument. And I have so much respect for classical players um who can absolutely like put all this feeling and play rhythms exact and um, and really bring to life what someone else wrote. And it's something that I need to start working on again, just getting my reading chops up again. But the thing that drew me so much to the jazz and to that was the fact that for a moment I get to be that creator, fully in always rhythms, dynamics, notes, just having that one moment to kind of say what I want to say on my instrument was like so um, monumental, I feel like, for me. And it really made me excited about music.
Okay, so middle school jazz band, right? So,
Hmm.
you're playing whatever. I know you played piano, but the
Yeah,
thing is, like a lot of times with piano teachers, you're playing what's written.
yeah,
There aren't necessarily chord symbols on top. You're
hmm,
playing classical pieces. So
yeah.
when did you start to understand the notes that were in the chords?
Um, so it's funny, I did a lot by ear for a long time. And there
Okay.
was I learned like the blues scale, and that was kind of my main thing in the beginning. Like, I learned Billy's Bounce, or Now's the Time,
Okay.
and that was kind of my first improvisation, um, like journey through improvisation was over that those Charlie Parker tunes. Um, and one thing that I think was really helpful was my teacher at the time, Scott Hofling. He had me learn the solos by Charlie Parker.
Okay.
So I would learn a transcription exactly of what Charlie Parker played on those songs. Um, I knew the blues scale, and then I had a Music Minus One CD back at the time.
Right. I remember
And
those.
yeah, and I used to first I would play Charlie Parker's solo, and I think sometimes the tracks had a little bit more, and then I would do something. And one thing that I learned then and still carry with me now is it's super important to kind of analyze transcriptions and see like, oh, okay, why do I like this sound? Where, like, oh, is he going to the two here over this? And oh, is he like, you can do that. But one thing I realized at the time is even without over analyzing what Charlie Parker was doing, there's something about playing what he played over the backing track and hearing that sound and knowing, oh, this motion, these notes over that sound like this. I like that. And it just got ingrained within me because of a month of just like working on his solo. Um and it to the point where like, oh, I hear this chord and as I'm soloing, this line just comes out. I don't I'm never the guy who's just drilling lines and working on lines, but through learning a solo, oh wow, that sound this works over. So, um, learning Charlie Parker's solos really, really, um, kind of put a ton of vocabulary under my fingers for soloing. And so I spent a lot of time using just my ears, and of course learning different solos. But I remember there was a pivotal moment. I was in an Adelphi pre-college jazz combo, under the direction of Dave Lobenstein
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Doug. I'm forgetting Doug's last name,
Okay.
but Dave and Doug. And there was the first time we met up, right? And that band was great too. There's Cameron Corella on the trumpet and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
a lot of great players. Um, Mikey Rotuno on the bass, Tyler Oranger on the drums, Sam Taus on the piano. It was like this great, great combo. The first time I showed up for that, he threw us some music. We all start playing, and then all right, now take a solo. I soloed, um, and I had already let him know like I usually just play by ear. So like on these solo things, I'll just. He was like, okay. So we do a solo, and I remember I played a solo, and Dave after I played the solo, he goes like this. He goes, "Wow, did you just do that by ear?" And I said, "Yeah." I felt good. I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I could tell," just like that. And I remember in that moment, I was like, oh wow, like there's so much stuff. And people like that, I know that there's so many different thoughts on teachers and how they should do certain things. That for me is like essential because there's always for me showing what someone thinks is not possible is possible and beyond what they could what their image of possible is has always been an inspiring thing for me. So having teachers who like really were like brutally honest, just tell me how it is. It was okay. You think of me as this small box. I'm going to make this box so much bigger, and you're gonna eat your words. So
Awesome.
yeah, so with that moment, through that combo and through working with Larry, um, I really just started to learn more about chords and okay, like what scales work over what chords and and kind of more analyzing transcriptions a bit more of like okay, the chord is G minor 7. How does that F sharp work over this? And how does he transition that note into a place where it makes sense? Um, so that was kind of that pivotal moment. I would say I think that was around 11th grade.
I was going to ask you. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
my
then
junior year
11th
of high
grade.
school.
Interesting. So that's a little bit later than, because I really felt the switch between like ninth and 10th grade from what I saw and heard.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this,
And I was learning a lot then, so I was doing like a ton of solo transcriptions and I think
okay.
I was absorbing a bunch of that jazz vocabulary and finding my way to like tell whatever story I wanted to tell. But in
Okay.
terms of really reading the chord changes, like seeing an F major 7 and not just instantly thinking, "Ooh, I should start on F." That wasn't until a bit later. And there was plenty of times where I would kind of like mentally I would hear the chords and I could play over them, but I wouldn't be thinking like, okay, F and now A, and then it was really just feeling it out a lot of the time, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing though. You built that vocabulary, right? You had all
Hmm.
those years of using your ears and plus also the piano playing too as well. You're
Yes.
playing chords and they weren't labeled
Hmm.
necessarily, right? They really weren't labeled, it's
Exactly. Yeah.
classical music, but still you knew sounds, you heard major and minor,
Yeah.
and I think that definitely played a part, with your learning stuff by ear. I am curious though, I mean, you're not telling me that the first stuff that you transcribed was Charlie Parker's solos, was it? Or are you transcribing other things?
I think that the first couple things were Charlie Parker's
That's
solos.
that's rough. That's
I I'll send you a video. Let me see if I
okay.
can find it. I'll put it in the chat just for you to see it. There
Okay.
was there's a video of me at age 11 and
Oh,
I do butcher it a bit to be honest. But me playing Now's the Time, I think.
interesting. So did you took this or mom took this or something or
My mom took this. It was funny. It was actually my sister's, yeah, 14 years ago. Now's the Time when
wow.
I was, but I'd uploaded it a bit later after it happened. I believe I was 11 here. So this was my first year of playing. Here, I just put it in the chat for you. That was
Oh,
my first year playing saxophone. Uh, and yeah.
oh, okay, hold on. I gotta share this, everybody. Oh, this is great. Okay. All right, cool. This is young Augie. Wow, look how different you look.
I know.
Wow. And that's not him squeaking. If you listen to the audio, that's someone opening a door.
Oops. This is Charlie Parker's solo.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
11 years old. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, 11 years old? Seriously? I mean,
I
come on.
I
Come on.
I remember my teacher Scott showed me that, and I think this little recital for it was my sister's dance recital. I don't know why I was playing sax, but it was a challenge for me. Like I think he showed me that like 2 weeks before the recital, and I was like, I need to play. I want to play that at the recital, and I mean it's sloppy, but I'm still proud of like the
Yeah.
work.
No, no. So listen, so question for you then, when it came to that, um, that's what I want to understand. Were you catching that by ear or were you reading that?
So that I was reading.
Okay, because
Yeah,
that's hard to do.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
by ear, like that's why I was thinking, your first solo to learn by ear. Good God.
No,
Okay,
no, no.
even reading that though is like ridiculous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my God. Um, all right, so then you're reading it, you have actually since 4 years old playing piano, you've already have 8 years reading music on you already, right?
Hmm.
Understanding some theory, and then, maybe not getting into a big analysis at that point, but a few years later in middle school, then you're starting to realize some of the stuff that you're doing.
Hmm.
I am curious though, what were some of the first solos or things that you learned by ear?
So, funny enough, there's one, This I Dig of You by Hank Mobley.
Oh, okay, got it.
Um, there is, let me see, because
I could see that. I could definitely see that, only
This
because
I
it's soulful.
Dig
And
of You.
yeah.
And then, man, there's a bunch of them that
Any Stanley Turrentine?
not so much Sterling Turrentine. I did learn some Stan Getz, Invitation,
Okay.
an invitation. Um, I didn't. I mean, I learned some Michael Brecker solos by ear, but I did write them down. So,
Okay.
his solo on Strafhängen, there's a live version. Um, and some of his solos on some Skunk Funk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Michael Brecker to me was like, and still is, and there's so much more stuff that I am going to work on and learn. But he's to me the greatest saxophone player of the last, you know, 20, 30 years, just because his versatility. Um, he's probably like my biggest inspiration on saxophone. Um, I just like how he was able to fit to whatever genre he was playing in, but it was distinctly him. It wasn't like inauthentic to fit the mold of a genre. It was authentically him, but he had this incredible sense for what parts of him belong within the confines of maybe this genre, and then what parts from different genres can I slip in here that'll give it a really, really unique sound that most people don't do in this genre. Uh, so his playing on like R&B and on funk and fusion music, I just thought it was super slick. Like he was able to put a lot of stuff in there that maybe your everyday person typically would be like, "Oh, that's weird," but he put it in a way that, like, oh wow, that sounds really cool to everybody listening. So yeah, a lot of his solos I went over,
What
and
what age did you start going through his solos?
it was more my later years in high school, and
Okay.
then throughout college, I was going through a lot of his solos. His solo on A Night in Tunisia with
Mm.
um, Shaka Khan. That's amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a video of him, Randy Brecker, and Shaka Khan doing A Night in Tunisia, which is just
Oh, that's cool.
amazing. Yeah. So,
That's
yeah.
cool stuff. I was going to ask you then. Okay, so we know Michael Brecker was definitely a huge influence on you, and I
Hmm.
love why. I love your why about that. Not because the guy can play anything. It was more the authenticity to the genre, but also knowing himself well enough, knowing his own vocabulary, his own voice, but also, like you said, being slick, slipping in, certain things that maybe aren't totally authentic, but it does fit and it works. And then
Yeah,
pushing the boundaries.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think he pushed the boundaries um in every way.
Yeah. So okay, we know he's definitely an influence. Who else do you feel
Yeah.
were your influences growing up, but now also influences now?
Yeah, so Richie Cannata was a huge influence. I just
Absolutely.
remember we would drive, my dad and I would get in the car and this Billy Joel song would come on and there'd be one of Richie's solos and my dad would say to me, "Oh, can you play that?" And at the time, there was these altissimo notes and I was like, I can't do that." And just hearing how melodic and beautiful those solos were, and the effect of maybe just even one altissimo note and really nailing it, that inspired me for years to just like drill altissimo. It was the thing that like really put me in the practice room for that. And then Lenny Pickett, same thing.
Okay.
Every Saturday night, just listening to Lenny scream these notes out. But the thing about Lenny is he's so delicate with them. Like there's so much mental games that happen when you're playing really high, like, ooh, I have to get tenser, I have to get tighter, and I have to give it more air. Hearing Lenny play, he'll hit a screamingly high note, but he'll be able to touch it really delicately and give it like a really beautiful sound. So Lenny growing up, and to this day, obviously, is huge inspiration. Um, Chad Lefkowitz Brown, I think is absolutely incredible. Has a lot of qualities that Michael Brecker has. I think can
Mm-hmm.
play all over everything.
Yeah.
I've heard him on funk amazing. I've heard him on pop amazing. Straight ahead stuff. He's just and then the business sense that he has. I think it's really important to have somebody like that, um, who's who's proving that there is still a way to support yourself and have a nice living doing the music that he loves to do. So I
Yeah.
think he's inspiration through his business and his playing. Um, Braxton Cook is a huge inspiration. I took some lessons with him too. He was great. Um, who else do I love to just Dave Koz, of course,
Oh
is
yeah, yeah.
amazing. His sound is perfect, and his like he really plays really really well over chords, and beyond that is just like supportive and sweet and kind, and just has been helpful and um, growing up, just listening to him, and then helpful in real life. I've been lucky enough to meet him recently, and has just been super supportive in any way and every way that he can. So
Oh, that's
um,
great. And
it's
he's changed things for saxophone players as entertainers.
absolutely,
Big time. Big
absolutely.
time.
And he's like I would say again, like business wise, is
Oh yeah.
a huge inspiration. The guy has a
Yes.
cruise of people who just want to hear amazing music. And he's built up this reputation of like, you want to hear amazing music? First of all, like me as Dave Koz, I, you love my music. And I can curate a different groups of people that you're going to be entertained for however long this cruise is. And I think that's amazing. like as a jazz musician to be able to build something like that. So
That and the holiday and I love his
absolutely
Christmas holiday. You know, every year it's different people, not just
amazing.
saxophone players. That's how I heard of Aubrey Logan. You
Uh-huh.
know, she's ridiculous. She's so
Yeah,
good. She's funny too. Oh my gosh, some of her
absolutely.
Instagram videos are
Uh-huh.
insane.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
but actually, wait, there's a story we have to tell about Dave Koz.
Yes. Um, really quickly, I want to mention two more people.
Okay,
Leo P and Grace Kelly
absolutely.
absolutely
Oh my
inspired me
gosh.
because they showed me that it doesn't have to be so serious. You know, they play their butts off,
Yep.
but they have fun. Like watching them, it's not like we have to sit down and like, you know, it's like I can dance, so let me dance. I can play the hell of the chords, let me play them. It's a show. They really showed me that like there could be so much fun in stuff that you've seriously worked on for years. Like it can translate into something so fun. So they've inspired me with showmanship and just the way they play, their sounds, everything about them is so
And they're great
amazing.
people. They're great people. You know,
Great,
I,
great
I
people.
see Grace Kelly every year at NAMM, and she's just
Amazing.
a wonderful person. She's a great songwriter, and we're going to talk about your songwriting in a second. But
Absolutely.
she's got a very unique voice,
She's
and she's
amazing.
very sincere for sure. You know,
Absolutely.
how did you? Before we get to the other story, I'm
Yeah.
really curious. How did you meet those two? And you did a couple of videos with them. Can you talk about
Yeah.
that?
So I believe I met Great. Well, first I met Leo. So our last time doing the podcast at NAM,
Oh yeah.
I was just testing out mouthpieces, and I think Leo was doing a demo, and I had always been such a fan whenever I saw him, his Subway playing, his BBC video,
Mm,
all these videos I'd seen of him, just incredible. There's nobody like him.
that's
He's
right.
he's so unique and has so much chops. Like he's incredible. But anyway, I saw him doing a demo, I think for Theo Wane, and I was just like, let me just hop in and join him
Wow.
jamming. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there's a video of us
How did I
from
miss this?
2019. Yeah,
Okay.
where we're just like jamming together. Like I just kind of jumped in. I think it was like later towards the end of his like demo. He
Okay.
just hung around for a little bit and started playing again. So I met him then, but we didn't really like. I think we took a picture together. We didn't really talk too much. I was just like, "Hey, man, so great! Like, love your playing." And then within the next year, I think Grace had followed me on Instagram, and they've been
Oh.
killing it with Too Saxy. Um, and they were like, "Hey, would you?" Uh-oh, almost lost my mic. They were like, "Hey, Grace sent me a message. Would you like to do this video together? It'd be Too Saxy and you, and maybe we can play a little bit in Times Square."
That's
And I
awesome.
just remember being like over the moon, just ecstatic.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my God.
yeah, so we did that video together.
So cool.
Yeah, and then just through there, I've built a really nice relationship with the both of them, and they've been super helpful whenever, like, if I have questions about stuff. This is another thing, like, not to go off in a different direction, but like, don't be afraid to ask people who know a certain thing more than you, uh, their opinions on things. Grace and Leo have been super helpful in terms of like, they've done touring, they've put out courses, they've
That's right.
dealt with brand deals and stuff. So like me coming up and starting to get some of these opportunities, they were super helpful, super open, and helped me through navigate a lot of those different business decisions and a lot of personal creative decisions. So yeah, they were super helpful. And then throughout the years, we got to do. I was a special guest in one of their courses that they did, and I've played at one of Grace Kelly's shows. My read was bad.
Oh
I
no.
It like plagues me. I played Billie Jean, I think,
Okay.
and it was just like I mean, like there was a squeak that every dog turned its head as soon as I played it in all of New York City. But these are things that
Nice.
they gave me those opportunities to like, okay, Grace, I'm doing a show, but you come up and play one with me. Those are huge things for me of like learning, and yeah, so yeah, and we've just had a relationship ever since. And Grace Kelly, actually, we wrote a song together. It's on the album. Um,
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't catch that. Which one was
yeah.
it?
So it's over. It's not featuring her. We didn't play together on it, but we started writing that song together in LA. So without her, that song wouldn't even exist.
That's another great song, and we're going to talk about your new album, Drawn, in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some really good lyrics and there's some really good
Thank you.
songs on this album. We definitely have to talk about that. Wow, but listen, I am so happy though that you made the connection, that Grace reached out to you,
Yeah.
and you guys did these videos, you made the connections, you guested on their course, and you sat in. This is awesome because the thing is that with your generation, and with Grace, they're maybe a little bit older and stuff like that, but you guys' generation, you're redefining what musicians can do. Because when I was going to school back in the Stone Ages, number one, they didn't even have jazz programs in a lot of the colleges. They really didn't.
Wow.
And certainly not courses on music business.
Hmm.
I talk about this with a lot of the guests all the time, how things are getting much better in colleges. But Berkeley was the only place. And then probably Thornton out here, USC Thornton for sure.
Hmm.
But, you'd go to music school, you'd get your chops up, but then what do you do with that? You're in debt. You're a waiter, waitress, trying to pay off your
Yeah.
debt. And you're realizing pretty quick that unless you land a union job, the AFM, American
Hmm.
Federation of Musicians, a union job like playing in the Broadway pit or in
Yeah.
the Philharmonic, you're struggling, you know?
Absolutely.
And you all, including Chad LB, a bunch of
Hmm.
other people, are redefining what being a musician is. And that's
Yeah.
incredible. And it's inspiring. It's inspiring not
Mhm.
just for the younger kids coming up, but also for, my generation and older to be like, this is great. Finally,
But I
this
will
is
say,
success.
like, what you do too has also inspired me to create such an amazing online program where you bring all these musicians together and you teach them how to do that. Like, there's that first step of, oh, this is something that I don't know how to do. And there's that first person who really gives them the inspiration and shows them how, how to start that. And what you're doing with your course and building your brand. And that's also super inspiring. So, um, it's important to have people like you too who will start people, It's the same thing as like Larry Ballaroo and my teachers growing up. Without those people, there's no career, there's no creating, there's no music that comes from people because they don't have that inspiration. They don't have that person who really ignites that fire and believes in them. So, um, the teachers of the world are everything to artists.
Thank you. No, I so appreciate that. And for me, like with my company, my mission truly is to for everybody to understand everybody can improvise. Anyone can
Absolutely.
improvise. It's not a magic pill. There's nothing special in the Long Island water. Trust me, there isn't. It's actually
Probably
we,
lead.
yeah, yeah, I know. We're always worried about it. That's why we don't drink the water.
Yep.
But but anybody can improvise. But the thing is that when you start to be able to realize that you're not tied down to a sheet of music, you could read it, that's cool. But when you're not tied down to that and you could create your own ideas and you could express yourself, and when
Hmm.
you're expressing yourself, you're enjoying yourself. And I don't care what age you are, if you're 5 or 91, but if you're able to do that, you're happy, your family's happy, you're spreading that joy to your family, you're spreading that joy to your community. Maybe it's a church, maybe it's a community center, maybe it's community jazz bands.
Yeah.
And then the world is a happier place. And that's the mission of my company because I want more
Absolutely.
people to be happy. We need that now,
We
more
do.
than ever. And, and the cool thing though is that, you know, you're making people happy with your music. It's funny, when I see your videos on Instagram and even YouTube, when I've seen you play, there's this joy. There's this joy about it. There's this, it reminds me, my trumpet teacher Vince would always say, you always want to have a childlike curiosity. You're
Abs-
embodying that. That's what I
Oh, thank
feel.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's awesome because that's what leads to obviously more enjoyment, but also more growth when you have that mindset instead of like, oh, well, he, of course he can improvise. He's been doing it. He was taught in school, he knows all this theory. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do
Uh-huh.
with that at all. It's mindset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so important that people know that.
Yes, because mindset is everything. Because the greatest players, and I interview the greatest players on this podcast, I really do, and
Mm,
they all know the power of mindset and how if your mindset is not good, uh, it affects you. It affects your solos,
absolutely.
it affects your life, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
why you guys are creating new and different things, and it's just so amazing. And like every time I see you got, first of all, your videos, I'm so happy every time.
Thanks.
But when you were playing with Grace and Leo, I'm like, that's perfect. Oh my God, that was so perfect. I was so
Oh,
happy when
thank
that
you.
happened, you
Thank
know?
you.
But yeah, I wanna jump back to the Dave Koz story
Yes.
because this is cool for me.
Yes. So, so Dave Koz about, I guess just almost 3 years ago, I put out my first EP, and in doing so, I came out with the video. So I named the EP Augie, and I said, Augie is coming out this date, and I didn't say anything other than that. And then, um, I had been dating somebody for 7, 8 months and not telling anybody. And thankfully, Aiden was willing to work with me on like, hey, whenever you're comfortable, like it's no rush for me. Like I know that you've got a big family and it's different for you. Um, so I put out this album and I had a music video and everything that I came out with the album. I mean, with the EP. And Dave Koz had seen, I think, the posts, and I think he might have been following me a bit before, but he
Wow.
made sure to like. He said, "Hey, I'm just so proud of you, not only for the music that you're doing and like inspiring young people to do, to do the saxophone, but to also authentically be yourself. Like I know that that takes a lot, and so he actually set up a call with me.
Wow.
Um, like he was like, "Hey, I'd love to just talk to you." And so we spent like I remember that day we spent like an hour on the phone, and he was just giving me a lot of insight and help on like when Dave came out, he did it via a magazine. And he's like, I didn't really know the numbers or like who's in that moment who's decided that they were gonna let uh um um someone's sexual preference uh stop them from enjoying that person. He
Right.
didn't know instantly like, okay, I released, I'm coming out. And I was explaining to him like when I came out and I did my post. Within the next couple months, I lost like 17,000 followers, and
Oh
there
my
was like
gosh.
it was a very visual thing of like, wow,
Wow.
like, and I don't want
Wow.
to discount like the support I got. So like when I did come out, there were so many people like, happy for you, proud of you, and all these things, but there was still like a negative feeling of like, wow, people didn't really follow me so much for me, and as a whole it was like, okay, well, if there's this part of you, then whatever, then I'm done with you. So I Dave was super helpful because I was kind of explaining to him like the effects that I didn't expect that did come along with that, because in my mind, like, there was definitely going to be some people who were surprised and not supportive, but I think it was a little bit more than I imagined. I thought that possibly there would be more like a community that would maybe even a newer community that would come around. But in that first year or so, even up until recently, like I am just coming back to where I was at a couple years ago in terms of following, which is really interesting. So, but Dave called me up and just like had this beautiful kind of talk with me about like how, you know, you don't even want those people if they don't really support you for you.
Right.
And just kind of put into perspective like how also how lucky I am to be like in in my mind sometimes it was like, oh wow, like it felt kind of like a little bit defeating to like post about something so personal and then have some of that backlash. But Dave was saying like how important it was for me to do that because it helps other people feel comfortable and stuff. So he helped me in like tons of ways, not only the saxophone playing. It was a lot of personal things. So Dave was super kind, super helpful. And then recently, like 2 years, probably a year and a half ago, he was in New York playing at a friend's memorial service. I'm blanking on his friend's name, but he
Okay.
um like made sure let's get dinner, let's hang out,
Oh,
and was super kind and helpful um and then just recently we got dinner with Dave again, me and Aiden and I, um and same things like just uplifting, supportive. Um, and we got to see him in his concert with Leo P on Barry,
oh, cool.
the summer horns
Mm,
this past summer. Incredible,
yeah.
incredible, incredible. It was truly one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life. Um,
Yeah.
he knows how to put on a show. He had them dancing. He had um
Skits.
some skits. Some of the artists could sing and play. It was just like a show for everybody. So again, watching him perform, another moment of like, wow, there's um, so many different layers of putting on a performance like this, and there's so much that goes into it. And then just recently, I got to talk about Dave forever. I mean, he's amazing. Just recently, he has a radio show
Oh,
on
yeah.
the Watercolors, yeah, Watercolors channel 66 on Sirius XM. And he texted me like 2 weeks ago. He's like, "Hey, I've been listening to your album. I love this song. I'm gonna play it."
Oh my gosh,
Uh,
that's great.
so just on Sunday, my first radio play, I think,
Wow,
that I've ever gotten to hear is from Dave Koz. So
that's great.
he's just been a person who's just supported me in every way since the moment we ever, probably even before we even spoke. So, um, and I actually tried to text you the other day because I was talking with Dave about you. I was saying, you know, because I really think some of my first times listening to Dave was because of you, because you had told me, you know, oh, I can hear he's the next Dave Koz, and it was like, oh man, I've heard of him, but I hadn't really listened much. Back in middle school, we're talking. So, I just texted you. Let me see. I'll tell you what day. On August 5th. Hey Donna, I'm with Dave Koz right now, and I told him how you used to call me the next Dave Koz. Thank you for always pushing me and inspiring me. How have you been?
That's awesome. Oh
Yeah,
my God. That's
yeah.
and yeah, and I distinctly remember that because
Hmm.
again, I will never forget this. I that flip, that switch
Uh-huh.
that just flipped and I'm like, "Oh my God. I really I mean this. I'm seeing the next Dave Koz because
Thank you.
a lot of things. It's the way you played, it's your sound, but it's also like the charisma on stage, even in a
Thank you.
stage band, jazz band. I just saw that. And I'm curious, after you saw like the summer horns, can you see yourself years down the road or maybe even closer,
Hmm.
sooner than that, doing something like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what he does, and um just to be a part of any piece of his, you know, incredible puzzle would be such an honor. And also like even seeing his cruise, like there's so many artists that
Yeah.
I'm inspired by, that I'm friends with, that I see on that cruise, who like again what he puts together in everything he does is um just so incredible. Like he is responsible for creating so much music by putting people together, and then he's responsible for um, showing so many people new music with his radio show
Yeah.
and with everything he does. So
And
absolutely,
and making people happy, and
yes,
the one thing that I not well, I love a lot of things about Dave Koz. I mean, I've always loved his sound, from the 80s to now. And when he came out, I had no idea. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that for me, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge role model for sure.
Hmm.
But, just always inspiring people. And he's got chops for days, but
Absolutely.
he understands what the audience wants.
Hmm.
And, he's always thinking about them, and he's not going into these crazy, he's being authentic to the style of music, and then, but
Absolutely.
pushing the limits.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's one arrangement that they do. I can hear it in my head partially. It was the first Summer Horns album. Gerald Albright was on that, Mindy
Amazing.
Abair, Richard Elliott. Oh man, it's escaping me. It's like partially in my head right now, but just the level of playing is just it's amazing. It's inspiring.
It
And
really is.
yeah, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
You Make Me Smile is my favorite by him.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that song.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's too many. There's too many for me. And the thing is that on all the horns that he plays, his sound is, it's Dave Koz, and it's really
Absolutely.
good.
And I will go out on a limb. I'll say that he has the best soprano sound
Yeah, yeah.
because like he sounds great on everything. I'm just saying on the soprano saxophone, there's no other artist I really want to hear, to be honest, because his pitch accuracy, his tone. There's so many
Warmth.
people who, yeah, there's so many people who play soprano, and you're like, oh, and it's out of tune, and it's sharp, and it's dagging, it's like daggers in your ear. But he like we in this room, we hung out whatever 3 4 months ago. In this room, I was like, hey Dave, we haven't played together. I
Oh,
said, I would just love, let's just put on a backing track and we just play. Absolutely. In this tiny room, this room is like 4 by 6,
oh my
small.
God.
It's terrible. Um, we're playing right next to each other with the soprano. It is the most beautiful, gorgeous sound.
Oh my God.
He just, yeah, absolutely.
That must have been one of the most amazing experiences, and also not only just having the experience, but also learning from that too. Because when you're around that, and
Hmm.
you're hearing the projection, you're hearing the intensity and the warmth of the sound, it rubs
Yeah,
off on you.
absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to change gears for a second. Let's
Uh-huh.
talk about the new album, Drawn.
Yeah,
And I have to do this. Let me find it. Give me a second.
of course.
I've got it over. Oh, I gave it away too soon. All right, hold on. I've got to share the screen for this one. Those of you that are listening to the audio, I'm going to really encourage you to watch the video for this, because I think this is going to be a lot of fun for you to check out as well. And what I'm doing is I'm sharing my Instagram feed over here, and of course I've been following Augie ever since he's been playing. And so, did I just play the greatest sax solo of all time? So this is from your new album,
Yeah.
Drawn, but this is called Stop, Drop, and Roll. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, is this a martial arts thing? Or wait a
Yeah.
minute,
Yeah.
is this like a school thing or something? No, but
Uh-huh.
anyway, check this out, everybody. This is so freaking ridiculous. That is so amazing. And okay,
Thank you.
so a couple of things. Your evenness of sound throughout the entire range, right?
Thank you.
That's not easy to do. Okay, and especially in the altissimo, because you were mentioning before about how Lenny Pickett can be very delicate up there. He's
Yeah.
got massive control, but so do you.
Thank you.
And it's like the sound is even. Um, there's no change in timbre, right?
Thank
There's
you.
no change in the tone color or anything like that. But the other thing too, I know Richie Kanata has had an influence on you. I did a couple of gigs with Richie when I played with Amber's band in
Amazing.
Long Island.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and just being around his sound. I bought his album, and
Hmm.
I listened to that like nonstop, because Richie Kanata's sound is just incredible. And this stupid thing is, some people are like, oh, Richie can't play. He can play, people.
Absolutely
He
can
can
play.
play. He hosted the jam at the Bitter End
Yeah.
for a gazillion and a half years.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. He's I took a lesson with him. His pitch is dead on. Like if you had a
Hmm.
tuner, dead on in the middle. That smiley
Absolutely.
face for tonal energy would be showing the whole
Yep.
time, you know?
Yep.
And the thing about him, and I don't know if I share the story with you, but I share it with all my students, and it's this. So when I was doing a couple of gigs with Richie with Amber's band, he shared a story with me with Billy from Billy Joel.
Hmm.
And Billy said to Richie, one time, like at a show or before a show, he said, Richie, do you want to play a solo that people will maybe remember 5 minutes from now? Or do you want to play a solo that people are going to remember 25 years from now?
Hmm.
And that totally changed the way he soloed and
Yeah.
the way he took solos. Because the thing is that you listen to a Billy Joel song now, if you're not singing along with Richie's solo, I don't know what's going on
There's
there.
something wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sure.
And so even just this little snippet from Stop, Drop, and Roll, you've got technique for days, but there's a melodicism about it. That's the
Thank you.
thing. With your soloing, there's a melodicism about it.
Thank you.
You're being very technical, but the thing though is that it's so pleasing to listen to and it's fun. It's
Thank you.
just fun, you
Thank
know?
you so much.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
funny thing is, it's interesting. We're in a like weird time with social media. There's no part of me at all internally that feels that that is the greatest sax solo of all time. Not
I
even this piece. But if you put that bait and if you look on Facebook, um, I did like the same caption for everything because it's this comment like get people to engage. No, that's not the greatest solo. Oh, I think it's great or whatever. And so it's funny on Facebook, like the top comment is unequivocally no,
Oh Jesus.
which I love. I mean, these were so right. Like I can't disagree with the guy. But yeah, it's funny.
No, but the thing though, and then I'm hoping that by people listening to this, watching this,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get to know you better. Like you're one of the most
Mhm.
humble people. And it took you like maybe what 15 years to stop calling me Miss Schwartz.
That's right.
So funny.
I call you Donna now.
I know that's good. I know it took a while. It's hard. I get
It
it.
did. It
It's
did.
just so funny. For sure. But
Oh my
no, but
gosh.
still, I mean, just, the command that you have, over
Thank you.
that. And talk about that song Stop, Drop, and Roll from your latest album, Draw.
Yeah. So my latest album, I began writing it during a relationship that didn't go well and ended very abruptly,
Okay.
and through meeting Aiden and the new phase of that. So and how beautiful and great that was. So there's two sides of a story. Like one, basically the story for Stop, Drop, and Roll is I had just gotten out of a relationship with somebody who was seeing somebody else at the same time,
Ah,
and it wasn't very clear to me. One of my first experiences, like considering actually dating somebody, so it ended very, very poorly and horribly. And just around the same time, so I had met Aiden a few months before then. We hung out just like friends. I had a gig in Chicago, and for my birthday, he like handmade me like overalls. He hand embroidered them. It says Augie on them, and it's a saxophone. So the keys, instead of having keys, it's the shape of a saxophone. Instead of having keys, it says Augie Bello on it,
that's cool.
which is it's really, really amazing. So he did that for my birthday, um, and I was like, wow, that's so kind. I was still seeing this other person, um, and then things ended with that other person, and Aiden just actually towards the end of right when my relationship with the other person ended, Aiden had a relationship that ended that he was in
Okay.
for like a year. So we were talking a bunch after. He didn't even know that I was gay at the time. I had never told him. We just hung out like friends. But after letting him know, um, there was a period where we really started to connect and spent, a lot of time talking and texting, and there was like a fear of a new relationship because I'd just been through something so horrible, and same for him. So this song for me was to tell the story of like there's this new flame, there's this new spark of a relationship, um, but I'm so scared, so I'm going to stop, drop, and roll to like put this out so that it doesn't become the horrible situation I had just a couple months prior. So,
Wow.
um, so the whole song "Set a Fire in the Valley," we would travel to see each other. I didn't meet him in California, but our relationship started to grow more during. I was in California and we were texting a bunch. I was doing some workout in California, so I was saying "Set a Fire in the Valley," like California, um, and then like didn't mean to set a blaze so cold, meaning you're all the way in a different part and I'm over here, and it's like really hard to actually, you know, have these strong feelings together. So like I'm sorry if it feels cold that we're like so separate. Um and so that whole song is basically the story of like finally giving into something that is actually uh that you were so nervous to even
Yeah.
consider.
Take a risk.
Yeah, so like the bridge of that song is basically like kind of all these nursery uh, rhyme, like all these things that were taught as kids not to do, that I do them. So like, oh, this seems like a bad idea. But I judge books by just the covers. Like, all right, well, I never listen to that. I go by my own rules. Smoke doesn't always mean fire, right? So like, just because it might seem like it's all going to burn to the ground doesn't mean that it will.
What a great message.
Um, and then so like that song is just about um, just being guarded, you know, from former experiences and what that felt like to experience like a new love.
This is cool. Let me do this. I'm going to share my screen in a second,
Yeah,
and I want to play some of that. I'm going to find this right over here. Cool. And let me get this going. It's going to take a second.
yeah.
Set a fire in the valley, oh, so sorry. I didn't mean to set a blaze so cold. Now we're lost in Southern Cali, the finale. I hear the sirens, but truth be told, you made here feel like home. But now it's time I let you go. You gotta stop, drop and roll for a fold, let you hold me. Build a home, we go old. You gotta stop, drop and roll for I'm sold. Please put this fire out now, put this fire out now. It's a silent conversation, imagination. Picture this, I missed my flight, oh no. I'm the gas to your ignition, out of commission. Fire marshal calls it quits, oh no. Cause you made here feel like home, making me feel. But now it's time I let you go. You gotta stop, drop and roll for a fold, let you hold me. Build a home, we go old. You gotta stop, drop and roll for I'm sold. Please put this fire out now, put this fire out now. I judge books by just the cover, and go by my own rules. Smoke doesn't always mean fire. In this case it's true. Set a fire in the valley, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Gotta stop, drop and roll, drop and roll, drop and roll. Gotta stop, drop and roll, drop and roll, drop and roll. Gotta stop.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. That's a great song. And
Thank you.
you heard me say that's a very Richie Canada. Like I
Uh-huh.
hear that. I hear that influence when I was listening to this,
Uh-huh.
before we talked today. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, because you've been going to Richie's jams for quite a while
Forever,
now.
forever. Yeah, he's always been inspiring me for so
Yeah.
long.
That's a great song. Let me ask you,
Thank you.
okay, you cut that in a studio?
Yeah, so I worked with Jordan Cohen, who's from Syosset actually.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he is
Wow.
incredible. He's a producer, writer.
I can't
He's
believe it.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's saxophonist for the band Lawrence. Um, but he produces all their music. He's produced songs. He's produced and written songs for the Jonas Brothers, for Tori Kelly, with John Bellion, Shawn Mendes. The list like goes on. So,
Wow.
huge, huge, huge love to him for taking a risk and you know writing some of this music with me and producing it with me. He's incredible. The reason it sounds so good is really Jordan's production work.
Wow. That's I gotta say that really should be on the radio. Like, what are
Thank you.
your? I know you're probably DIYing it, right? So
Yeah.
you're okay. Um, have people given you some advice in terms of, trying to get radio play and whatnot?
Yes, it's interesting. I dropped this album a month ago, and then the holidays came around, and I had thankfully like one of the most busy holiday seasons. So like now that that's ending and the new year's coming, I have a lot more time to like really push. And I'm seeing people like Chapel Roan, who like she dropped a project, and for maybe 3 years, 2 years, it wasn't getting that much attention.
Okay.
And then just recently, like a lot of her music has become some of the biggest stuff all over the Billboard charts.
That's true.
So I am trying to figure that out right now. And Dave Koz was like the first taste of that radio play. And I'm just trying to find content ideas that will really stick with people. That doesn't feel so much like an advertisement, but it feels like something entertaining, which also shows off the music.
This is great because I just thought of an idea too.
Yeah,
Just the fact that you shared that story makes the song come alive.
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I'm just thinking, like, if you had a piece of content on YouTube where maybe someone's interviewing you, or maybe
Yeah,
someone takes this or whatever, and I'll certainly give permission to do that.
thank
But,
you.
put this in as a clip and you talking about the evolution of that song
Hmm.
and then playing it. Because
Yeah,
to me now it has a lot more meaning. Now I
yeah,
get it.
absolutely, absolutely. You're right. You're right. That'd be great. I'm gonna write that down as a piece of content idea.
Yeah, do it because the thing is that, you know, people when they understand the story, that's when it sticks more.
Absolutely.
Like this Grace Kelly is wonderful for this too, and she'd be a great person again to get some more feedback about this.
Yeah.
I've been to a number of her shows. She was playing at the coffee house in Altadena a number of times. Unfortunately, with the fires and everything, it's gone.
Hmm.
It was gone even before that, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
she's a great storyteller with her writing, but also when you're at a show with Grace Kelly, she knows how to introduce a song and she
Yeah.
knows how to get you, I don't want to use the word hooked, but interested and,
Absolutely.
inspired. That would be awesome for you,
You're
so that
right.
people can understand your
And they can
lyrics.
connect with the story. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah, that would be freaking cool
Yeah.
for
I'm gonna
sure.
try it.
Yeah, cool. Now I have a couple of other songs that I'm so glad that you're being generous
Of
with your
course.
time. Yeah, I want to check out. Oh, I'll mention the other one later, but let's
Yeah.
do Window to You. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so and actually give me a second because I've got it in the Google Drive that you share with me, but also if I go to whoops, I'm going back to my Instagram thing, folks, for a second, and I want to go to the next clip, which I think should be Window to You. So this
Hmm.
is going to be I'll share my screen now and you watch me in action. Gee, how exciting this is. Awesome. Okay. So this was the first thing. And by the way, follow Augie at Augie Bello,
Thank you.
at Augie_Bello right there. Okay. So a lot of followers. Okay. He's big following on TikTok as well, and also Facebook and YouTube as well. So let me
Thank
go
you.
to the next one here. I think this is going to be Window to You.
Now that you are here, my grays are turned to rainbows, and those rainbows are the window to you.
so like tender, that's so heartfelt.
Thank you.
And what's the inspiration? I lost my video because I've not upgraded my operating system because of Finale. Thank you very much, Finale. Just a private little rant there, just saying I'm not
Gotta
the
love
only
it.
one. I'm sorry, I
Oh my
apologize to
gosh.
everybody, but I'm holding on desperately. I can't hold on too much longer. But anyway,
That's
what's
so
the
funny.
inspiration for Window to
Yeah,
You?
so I think I've been through a lot of periods where in my life where I have um put up a lot of walls and barricades to protect an image that I desired and that other people desired. And this is kind of the story about how Aiden coming into my life um, taught me a lot about being authentic, fully authentic, and what type of beauty that can bring into your life. So in the verses, yeah, like all my weekends fade away, time stands still, like all these beautiful things. So it's basically the parallel of like all these things that are amazing and nice are feeling so dark to me. So
Mm.
the weekends fade, the time is still, nothing's changing. Flowers are always changing to gray. But I'm still planting seeds, like I'm still holding on to hope. Um, Birds are flying away. Um, uh, like I'm so tired of watching, like I'm so tired of ocean tides, like just watching the same thing. It goes out, it comes in, but
Mhm.
I'm still the same. And those fears keep me inside.
Wow.
And then I kind of discuss like kind of the process of like how could it ever be bright if your house is only made of walls? There's no windows. I'm like really stuck in this box.
Wow.
And then like it's kind of like the transition of letting my walls down. So could it ever be bright? Praying as I watch them fall. So now I'm like finally releasing these boxes that I put myself in, and it's saying how like now that Aiden is here, my grays have all changed to rainbows, and those like basically how finally like being fully authentic led to the beautiful things in life feeling beautiful again versus
Mm.
just mundane. So that was kind of the inspiration for that whole song.
That's beautiful. And it's funny because, as long as I've known you, you've been very positive, right? Very
Yeah,
humble. And it's so interesting how, with a lot of the lyrics in this song, like I feel this like little sadness happening. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Which is not, what I've like what I've seen,
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, but that's cool though, because again, you're tapping into the emotional side of
Yeah,
things. So I think it's great.
thank you so much. Yeah, so
I'm curious
um,
though, when did you start singing? Because I didn't know that until you started
yeah,
putting videos out.
so throughout college, I really like all of my some of my favorite music is pop music with vocals and Billy Joel's music. Like all just growing up, I was always listening to pop, rock and roll, R&B. In college, I started to take lessons with Kate Baker, who's an amazing teacher and singer and everything. Sweet, great person. And since then, like, so the first song I put out in 20, I think it's 2018. It's like the first song I wrote, and the lyric, like looking back, the lyrics, like, like twist me because I don't love them, but I'm still proud of like the melodies and the production and all that. So all throughout college, I was working on it, and then um, as I started to write more songs, I needed to be able to tell those stories like in an effective way. So I continued to work on it, but it's something I'm still like, just like with saxophone and everything else. Like I'm always there's always more, like lots more work to be done. So it's something I'm still working on to this day. You know?
Listen, okay, so it's so interesting because you have your own unique voice, both on the saxophone, but also, yeah, both on the saxophone and in your voice too. And that's what's really cool about this. And it's great for me to see also because again, I knew you for a long time and it's like, wow, this is really cool. But the other thing, and you shared this a number of times, and I'm hoping it's hitting home for a lot of people. Again, some of your heroes, a lot of people love the way you play because I keep bragging about you too, but they love the way you play. But your heroes are saying they have a lot of work to do. And for those of you that are like, oh, well, I get some people that are like, oh, well, in 6 months I expect to play like Charlie Parker. I'm like, no. You don't have a reference point,
Yeah.
Your heroes, your greatest players, they'll always say, I've got a lot of work to do. And the thing is
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and the other thing is don't expect the mindset to change. Because I'll say it with saxophone. There's periods of time where like I would hear certain solos and transcribe them, and when I first heard the solo, I was like, wow, what is he playing over there? What is she playing over there? And then I'd learn it, and it became part of my like vocabulary, something I understood and something I could introduce into my playing. The feeling of like the desire to continue growing never really changes. Like I also want that to be clear. Where like, oh, if I just know how to do that, then you'll feel better about your playing and stuff. But there's this other thing which happens with all artists where don't expect this might be sound a little negative, but it's not. It's really positive. Don't expect like a full satisfaction 100%. Like expect yourself to get there and other people will recognize it and hear your playing and it'll sound amazing. But the nice thing about music is that you'll always kind of have this fire and there will always be new reference points. So make sure that like you celebrate the places that you get to, and know that like, let's talk even numbers wise. Like for me, when I was growing a social media following, I was like, oh, when I hit 100,000 followers, then I'll feel like X, Y, and Z, and I'll feel like really put together and this and that. Okay, you hit that, and then a week's gone by, and the next day, it's like it doesn't change the desires and the goals. So don't expect like your whole life to change from like these moments. Expect like that fire to feel somewhat the same, and it'll be reflected in your playing, and you'll feel more confident in sections, but the fire will probably stay within all of you to keep growing.
Yeah, not only keep growing, but it'll also, you said different reference points,
Yeah.
So you mentioned before, like in 2018, like your first song, right? And you're kind of like cringing a little bit at the lyrics right now, but at that time, that's where you were at,
Absolutely, yeah.
And then through being open-minded, being curious, and continuing just every day showing up and doing the work. And when we say work, we're not saying it's a drudgery. I think that's one of the things here. It's I think like one of the themes is about, just playing with joy, and how approaching with joy is going to lead to just, more enjoyment and stuff like that. But the thing is that if you keep showing up, your reference points are going to change.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you can be like, wow. When I've interviewed like Dr. Ed Kaye and also Pedro Eustache, I remember when he said this, it's like, oh, that guy invented over 600 instruments of his own. He's played on all the Dune movies. He's played with Yanni. He's like ridiculous. And he is one of the most humble people. It's insane. And, I'll never forget when I interviewed him, and we made 3 episodes because he was so giving of his time. It was just insane. But he kept on saying, I have so much to learn. I have so much to learn. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But that's what keeps people on top of their game.
Yeah.
But it's not about, you said something very interesting. You said, oh, the belief may be, once I hit 100,000 followers, that's it. I'm going to get riches. Everything's going to happen. That's not reality.
No.
It's a number. It's a number. It's an awesome number. But, and we all go through this with a lot of, not just music, but with a lot of parts of our lives,
Absolutely.
It's like you reach this goal and it's like, okay, I did it. The danger is what's next. And the
Yeah.
danger is that's where, you can fall into a little bit of a depression,
Hmm.
in terms of, what do you do next? And that's why always having some kind of goal in mind. And you said also celebrating the wins. That
Yeah.
is so huge. We do this in my coaching program where every week, we are absolutely celebrating the wins. And I'm so glad you said that out
Yeah.
loud because
It's so important.
it is. Because when even if it's a little win, I know for some of the people that we work with, let's say, they had a really busy week and they're playing a whole bunch of community bands and they had 3 concerts and whatnot, and they only had maybe one day to work on some of the
Yep.
stuff from
Yep.
the coaching program. You know what though? There's a lot of wins there because you had a whole bunch of concerts, they went well, and you
Absolutely.
found the time to work on this stuff for one day. Celebrate that win because
Yeah.
those wins add up.
They do. They do. And it's important, like on the outside, on the inside, it might not feel like a huge win, but on the outside, like you're inspiring people and you're growing. And so sometimes you have to force yourself to like acknowledge that. And the people around you uh, can be huge helps in that. And they have been for me, like my family, first and foremost, my mom. And my mom is like has always been my biggest fan. There'll be something that I post or something where I'm like, oh, I'm not sure how it went. And she'll give me a call. Wow, you made my day.
Yeah.
I love that post. Thank you so much. And just having those people also makes you recognize that maybe sometimes internally you don't feel full or you don't feel like what you've done has affected yourself or others. But in a lot of cases, most cases, uh, you have grown in what you've done. You've affected somebody else. You've brought some joy around to what you've done. So, um, just remember that. And on the outside, just remember to remind your creative people, creative friends, like we're all in this together. Everyone could use like a little boost, whenever you can. So if you see someone doing great, let them know. It's moments like that that really keep somebody going and remind somebody because we all need reminders. There's plenty of times where you might feel like you missed the mark, but to somebody else you've like inspired them to get started again, and you've inspired them to write. You've inspired them in so many ways. So remind your friends that they're killing it, and try to remind yourself that like it's not always the work that you do and the creative endeavors that you have aren't always the effects of them are not always very evident or apparent, but like there are people out there, there are friends, there are family, there's people that are always inspired, and that's very important.
That's great advice. And, I love how you said that too, because even, your favorite heroes and even, even people that are your friends, your peers or whatever, sometimes it's really scary to post something.
Mhm.
And, people in the back of their mind, even though they know it's kind of crazy, but, we worry about the numbers, and
Mhm.
oh, we worry about getting the haters on there, and the thing is when you show support for somebody, even if it's just clicking a like, even saying,
Yeah.
hey, that was awesome, or hey, congrats, or putting
Yeah.
a awesome emoji, you've no idea how amazing that feels to the person that posted that.
Yep.
It really has an effect because
Yeah.
again, in a society where there's so much polarization
Mhm.
and it's either hate or love and there's no middle ground,
Yeah.
these kinds of actions, this is what I said before about the mission of my company. I want people to spread joy. And when
Yeah.
you put that like, and you really, it's heartfelt, it's like, wow, that's really cool.
Mhm.
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
It's spreading positivity instead of, it's so easy. No, it's not. I'm going to say this way. This is going to sound weird. I was going to say it's so easy to just be like, yeah, okay, whatever, and skip things.
Mhm.
No, that's hard. It's
Yeah.
actually hard to do that
Mhm.
because the thing is that it makes it harder in the long run. Whoops. I'll keep talking for a second while you find a
Yeah.
video. It makes it harder in the long run because when it comes to doing things in life, what you think may be the easy path is actually the harder path.
Yeah.
And it's actually taking that minute to acknowledge somebody that, will have such ramifications and inspiration, and that's
That's true.
spreading joy,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm so glad that you shared that advice too. And just the fact, again, like I've seen your growth over the years, and, the numbers keep going up, but I'm also glad that you shared, what happened when you came out,
Yeah.
and that there's haters out there,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
the thing is that it's inspiring to people of all generations,
Hmm.
because people in my generation, we were told, don't come out. You got to hide
Yeah.
it, and
Hmm.
I just do what I do.
Yeah.
I'm just out there. Everybody pretty much knows. I mean, if you don't,
Yeah.
well, surprise, but the thing is
Yeah.
that, and even when I was teaching too, I mean, I was what I was. And I know
Yeah.
that, may have inspired, certain students later on in life or whatever, the case
Yeah.
may be, but
Absolutely.
we're all human. Okay. We all sleep, eat, and, do the other
Yeah.
thing, that's it, really, when you think about
Yep.
it, but, no, it's really encouraging, really is.
Well, we're all on the same journey,
Yeah.
trying our best,
No, for sure. Absolutely. Now, I also want to share another song, and let
Yeah.
me get back to Over Here. And this one hit me.
Oh, yeah?
And then the very last, and you're going to know what I'm talking about. It's called Behind Those Eyes. All
Uh-huh.
right. And this is a beautiful song that, this is the first one on my list in my drive over here.
Yeah.
The words to this really hit me. I'll play part of this, and you know what? Let me play part of this first, okay? And
Yeah.
then I'm going to have you, talk about the song a little bit, if that's okay.
Of course. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me go to here and go here. This will just take a second. And then, again, for those of you on audio, there's not much to watch here, but you could also watch the video for this as well when this comes on. Google Drive can be a little slow, especially when sharing on Zoom. Here we go. Very pensive solo.
Confident, there is no brighter smile. She's got energy through every aching mile. Though she'll toss and turn, living endless days, each night worrying about what they'll all say. When she gets to school, they'll call her everything but her name, and she'll laugh with all the insults just to hide all her pain. Behind those eyes, that girl often cries. Smile masks fears, but she's still paralyzed. She's still paralyzed from the words deep inside.
That's just I don't even know what to say. I mean, that's just incredible. What is the inspiration behind this song?
So the story I think is even better. During COVID, we were all locked up doing whatever we could to stay busy. And my mom, she was like, I'm gonna try to start writing some songs, and you can play. My mom has always been an incredible writer. And so she sent me like 5 different songs that she had written. Let me see if I can find it. How long ago this was?
Was she teaching in Syosset still?
She had just quit or retired. She basically, during COVID, they were asking her to sub in other classes, and her parents are very at risk. So
Oh,
she
got it.
expressed like, I don't feel super comfortable being in classrooms where the teacher's sick, and the HIPAA laws, they can't tell you why the teacher's out, but if
Yeah.
it's during the pandemic, so she's like, I don't really feel comfortable using all their equipment if they're out with COVID and then going to care for my parents. And
Yeah, I
they were
get it.
like, well, that's what you have to do. So she was like, all right, well then,
Yeah.
that's that. So, but anyway, so she had sent me some songs that she wrote, and this was roughly one of the songs that she had sent me, and
Wow.
I like I reworked a lot of the lyrics, reworked the chorus, and what she didn't write was this final section, which I put together, where it's like this is really the story of every single person has insecurities. Um, and my mom is such a strong woman, and has always projected that strength through everyone around her. But just like every other human, sometimes there's insecurities and things that hurt us and things that um, we hold within ourselves. So it was kind of her story of like, while I work really hard to um, on my appearance, and while I'm caring for everyone, there are still things in my life that have happened that I've gotten through and that I've um, um, worked through. So, and then for me, I just spent a lot of time kind of writing kind of a last part for her, where it's like, okay, behind those eyes, you have some difficulties with things that have happened or whatever, and struggles that you've had. But what we see is this perfectly put together person who we all look up to. So, um, just wanted to like add a little bit to her story to give the outside view of that person, which is my mom. So, um,
It was awesome.
thank you.
We got to listen to more of this then, because I want to listen to
Let's
the
do
rest of
it.
this, because this had my jaw drop. It really
Aw.
did. It really did. I was just like, oh my God. And then the last, well, I don't want to give it away. We'll continue on with this. So, here we go. I hear a lot of Richie Kanata in this,
Yep. Yep.
and also Grace Kelly, by the way.
Uh-huh.
She's grown up now, has kids that she inspires. Tells them always lead, don't follow, be admired. Give compliments, why tease, it's not worthwhile. Ignore bullying, be proud of your own style.
Good line.
But when they leave for school, her mirror watches tears as they fall. Still hears all the things they called her, so she picks at her flaws. Behind those eyes, that girl often cries. Smile masks fears, but she's still paralyzed. She's still paralyzed from their words deep inside. Wish that I could show you what I see. Bright blue eyes and a heart that often bleeds. I'm inspired and I hope to one day be just like you, that be the best version of me. 'Cause behind those eyes, behind those eyes is the woman that I'm lucky enough to call my mom.
Boom. That's what I felt. Boom. And I was like, oh wow. That blew me away. And
Aw.
again, because I know your family, right? So
Mhm.
that was really so cool. And you know what? I was thinking to myself a couple of things. Number
Yeah.
one, like this reminds me of a Grace Kelly type of song where it's there's a story. You
Uh-huh.
know, they talk about country music and there's a story involved, right?
Yeah.
So singer-songwriter country. Okay, got it. I'm thinking Sirius XM, maybe The Bridge, but you know, where like they're
Mhm.
acoustic and they're talking about this stuff. Okay, but the other thing I was just writing down, movies, sync license. This should be in a
Yeah.
movie. This
Oh, I
could
hope so. That would
think
be
about it.
amazing.
Yeah, you know what? And
Yeah.
and here's where, you know, you tap into some contacts, you
Uh-huh.
know, like Grace and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people that have done this, because there's such imagery in this, in the lyrics, and the pensiveness of the sax solo.
Hmm.
but also in your voice, and and then the bombshell at the end that it's mom,
Uh-huh. Thank you.
yeah,
Well,
that's a lot.
again, like it's a lot of my mom, it's a lot of her writing and her stories. So, shout out to her for being so vulnerable, and revealing that she is a human. You know,
Yeah.
moms like to be so strong and be there for their kids and their family and for everyone around them, but it's okay to exhibit human emotions, and we all go through tough things and have dealt with tough things, but um so yeah.
Yeah, no, really, congrats on this album. And
Thank you.
talk to me more about, let's talk, we're in 2026.
Hmm.
What the plans for the album, you're going to try to get it out there more, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Are you are you doing any like shows to promote it? Do you have physical CDs? Like talk about the promotion of it.
Yeah, so the promotion of it, I'm uh thinking about creating vinyl records for it because I know
Mm,
that there's a new like kind of influx for that.
yeah.
But it's really I need to create some sort of um, viral moment with the songs, and I've done it in the past with "Spin Me Round," and I've done it with a lot of the videos. Right now, my focus is really figuring out how to create that moment for one of the songs, and then hopefully doing a tour of like 7 or 8 of the most popular cities in America. So
Awesome.
going to Boston and LA and San Francisco and Chicago, of course, New York, just kind of bringing my band to those places. Um, so hopefully by the spring or summer, we can do something like that. Um,
That's
I
cool.
just want to minimize the like the thing that's very tough right now is touring with um, 5 people
Yeah.
with your flights and your hotels and your logistics and car rentals. It's a big undertaking unless you're playing big shows. And then I've heard of artists who are playing big shows, 2,000 people rooms, and they're still losing like $100,000 on a tour. So it's like a little, it's a tough time, I would say, in the industry to like uh, really go on the road and make it happen. But people like Jordan Cohen and Lawrence have inspired me because like they did years of touring where they had to stay in a van and
Yeah.
close quarters, like they did what they had to do to now build an audience where like they can do the same venue 4 nights in a row in New York City and it'll be sold out. So um, there's something about also like biting the bullet in the beginning and uh, and really investing in yourself to then build a bigger audience for the next time you go on the road.
Absolutely. Okay. So that's one aspect. What
Yeah.
about other projects coming up?
Yeah, so honestly, I've been working so for so long on this album that I couldn't even think about writing. So I am just getting into the pro. Oh, actually, I have a full live version of this album that's gonna come out hopefully within the next 2 months.
Oh, awesome.
And what a little surprise that I'll say is that my most viral video is uh, me performing "I Will Survive" with a amazing band and a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Um, and we got in the studio and we recorded like a professional version of it.
Oh, cool.
So on the live album with all my music, there will be two bonus tracks. One is going to be we did Aiden's song live with the band. So we took one of his acoustic songs and did it with the full band, and then we did "I Will Survive" with
Cool.
the full band. So hopefully within 2 months, again, that live album. And I've dropped some of them on YouTube. You can see some of those videos, but I'm really holding on to the "I Will Survive" video for once all the original music I've fully mixed the live versions of it. And then I'll drop it all as one big thing. So it'll be like 10 track live album.
Awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. And I have to ask,
Uh-huh.
you were on tour with Teddy Swims.
Yes.
Before Teddy Swims became like really super
Yeah.
insanely popular, talk
Uh-huh.
about that. Like, was there what was that experience like?
Yeah, so it was so incredible, and it was fun. It was inspiring because just to watch kind of Teddy um really I mean, Teddy's doing at the time we were doing these stadium shows opening for Zach Brown Band, so we got to play in like Fenway Park and all
Yeah.
these massive venues. But Teddy made sure that everybody felt um, valued when we were off stage and when we were on stage. Like Teddy made sure that like, yes, it's Teddy Swims, but I had a lot of sax solos on the stage, and there were moments that were crafted for everybody. So it was super inspiring to see him kind of continue just to build really what he had always wanted, and I'm sure he would say he's not there, but he's fully there. He's got so many monthly listeners and he's been touring constantly. But it also taught me like how tough touring is.
Mm,
Um, and there's like a very like there's a I feel like a lot of people view touring as like a very glamorous, exciting lifestyle, and there's so much fun that goes into it. The shows are amazing, and hanging out with all these people and meeting all these artists, amazing. But like realistically, you're also there's 12 guys sleeping on a bus together, and if one guy wants to come in at 3 a.m. because he's hanging out with his friends, well, he's got to walk through your whole hall of 12 people. And do you want to go to the gym? Well, there's no gym unless you want to Uber to the gym. Or do you want to practice? Well, there's no practice room. Do you want to go number two? You better wait till we get off this bus because if not, there's thousands of dollars of fees because you're not there. There's a insight for everybody. On a tour bus, you are not allowed to go number two
oh my gosh.
in general. Like
Wow.
this
I
is
didn't know that.
the
Wow.
yeah, this is the standard, like no number two. So
God.
you wait until you're at a rest stop or you wait until you're at the venue. So like
Wow.
in terms of living like a normal human being, it's not like that, I would say, in a lot of ways. But the shows and the experience of playing on those stages and the memories you make with everybody make it so exciting and huge. And that's a moment that like I appreciate Teddy for um, giving me that opportunity, and a moment that I really learned so much from. So it was definitely a really fun experience. So
And he still supports you. I mean, you also played Madison Square Garden a whole bunch of
yeah,
times too, right? And he
yep,
was in
yep,
the audience.
yep. That was super fun. Um, yeah, so that was awesome. I got to play his song for him at halftime, which was really nice.
That is so cool. You know, and
Yeah,
I've seen those videos and I'm just, like, wow, this is great. This is so awesome. And I'm sure that's
thank you.
been like a lifetime dream, right? Play Madison Square
Absolutely.
Garden.
Yeah, and actually, February 1st, I'm playing again at Madison Square Garden, so
Oh, cool.
I'm psyched for that.
Oh, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
actually, speaking of that, like, how can people find you? Like, where are you on the socials?
Yeah, so if you search Augie, AUGIE underscore BELLO, I'm on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Um, and yeah, I every single Thursday I perform. I'm figuring out the new year. I'm not sure if we'll start in February, but every Thursday I have a jam at a venue called Groove
Okay.
at 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Or like 12:30. So I play there all the time with my band. If you're in New York and you want to see it. And then on Mondays I play at a live comedy show with um, my friend Max Carrillos. He's basically set up this incredible event where it's uh, a band. We play for 30 minutes up top, and then we play walk on and walk off music for like
That's
each
great.
comedian that comes up. And it's been such a dream come true. We've Max, so grateful for him, including me. And he's gotten Sean Pelton is like our main drummer for the comedy show, and that's the drummer for SNL. So
Wow.
playing for him has been like playing
Wow.
with him has been a dream come true. And then just these past 2 weeks, we got to play with Bernard Purdy, which was
My gosh. Wow.
incredible, like such a legend. So Monday nights, No Static Comedy. Thursday nights, the Bello Bash in the city. If you're looking to hear me live.
That's cool. And also, but you also played at the bitter end, that jam. You did it for a long time,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. I typically, most Mondays I would go there. Richie has had a few like health things that he's been going through, so he hasn't been leading the jam there on Mondays. I haven't been there in a bit, but I will be going back hopefully soon. I think Richie's hoping to get back there soon too.
Oh, that's cool. No, that's
Yeah,
great to hear for sure.
yeah,
Well, listen, Augie, first
yeah.
of all, this is so great catching up again,
Of
and
course.
I feel
Same goes
like
to you.
I feel like a proud mama,
Aw.
even though,
Well,
but
thank
just,
you.
just seeing your growth and not just from, elementary, middle school and up, but also since the last time we spoke,
I know.
on like an interview type of stage, at the NAMM show in 2019, and just, my gosh, it's everything's just going to shoot up for you. But the
Oh,
thing is
thank you.
that it's the outlook, it's your outlook that
Thank
is
you.
really making this happen for sure.
Well, it's also the people around me who are like you and who remind me that what we're all doing is important and to have fun while doing it, you know.
Yeah, and you reminding me as well. Listen, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Augie.
Thank you so much for having me, Donna. So great to see you again.
Same here.